Hello, my little goblins. We're back at it again, and this time we have the almighty, the all-powerful, the all-knowing Tearlaments. They're in Master Duel, and we have a new Tier 0 format, and my goodness, are these cards insane, absolutely busted. They already got hit with a couple of nerfs, Kiddos going to 1, we got Sheeran, Havinus, and we got Merly going to 2. I'm going to tell you right now, Kiddos going to 1 does absolutely nothing. Most of these people, most of the people who are playing in tournaments before Tearlaments got the hits in the TCG, they were playing these cards at 1 anyway. So you just play them at 1 anyway. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, this is what we have for the deck. We actually played, when I say we, I'm talking about me and Spiffy from our Discord. He helps a lot of people out with decks, and we kind of put our heads together to come up with this one. If you're wondering, King of the Swamp, why is it there? We'll discuss that all in the recap. We'll discuss why some of these cards are in the deck. But DD Crow, this card is for the mirror. The card's insane in the mirror. You're probably going to see a lot more people playing it. But yeah, this deck is nuts. Let's just get into the games. You guys are going to see what I'm talking about, because this deck does some disgusting things. And in the recap, we'll go over a lot of the stuff that you've seen in our matches, and we'll go over decision making on why we included certain cards in the deck. All right, let's go. Hello, everybody. We're here with game number 1 against Practicing, and this guy is also on Tearlaments. His deck is actually eerily kind of close to ours. He's playing some cards that are different, like he's playing the Foolish Burial Goods, mainly because sending Solik to the graveyard, this allows them to add a card to hand. But yeah, his mills were a bit better than ours, because he didn't, like, our instant fusion never got hit. So let's just talk about this before we continue forward, because I know there's a lot of triggers activating here. He's summoning a Yugioh to special summon another level 4. So if you guys don't know, Abyss Dweller is insane to go into in the mirror, because when he's popping off, sending Kelbeg, milling all these cards, and I'm milling my cards won't activate with the Abyss Dweller effect, and then he can activate Abyss Dweller in my turn, and then my turn's pretty much over. I can't really do much. So that's pretty much what he's going to be doing here. So these Tearlament cards, let's talk about what they do. When they get sent to the graveyard, almost all of them besides Rhinoheart, they allow you to fusion summon into one of any fusion card in your deck. So like, as long as you have the requirements, obviously. Like I can't go into Dragstop Leah without having a fusion and a Dark Monster. But this allows you to go into Kikalios. It allows you to go into Ruklos. It allows you to go into these cards. And these cards have very powerful effects on either player's turn. So that this allows you to pretty much, if you're going first or if you're going second, it allows you to play on your opponent's turn either way, which is kind of nuts. I'm going to tell you right now, this matchup is very dependent on whether or not who's hitting their shufflers. So you're going to see this match play out. Let's continue. Get a lot of stuff happening. Shuffles my cards back, which means my fusions don't go off because they're not on the field. My hand's pretty okay, though. Like, it's not the best, but Triple Tactics is really nice. Goes into Abyss Dweller. Abyss Dweller, again, he's going to mill purposely, so I can't do anything. And then he activates Rhinoheart. He's just doing a bunch of stuff right now. Like, even all the spells and traps, they have effects. Like, this one's going to add the trap back to their hand. The trap's really good, by the way. This card is a negate. You literally send a Tearlament monster to the graveyard. Or you send a monster on the field to the graveyard, and you can negate a monster on the field. Kiddos, obviously one of the best cards you can go into. It's a really good starter. Just look. He's able to special summon. Then it also has a mill 5 effect, which is crazy. Then he's going to pop Havinus, which allows him to fusion summon. He goes into Dragspelia. So his board is really good against us. This is like probably a board you want to make in the mirror match. It's really crazy good. So I draw Tearlament Scream, which is actually a really good draw for us. He actually does not negate here, which I was a little surprised, but I kind of understand. We get some good mills off. We send a Yugioh. We go into Baguska. Remember, none of these cards can activate their effect. So This is literally the only play I had. So I go into Baguska, and you might be saying, Fatsoy, there's no way you win this still. We know he has a negate here, because he grabbed it. Remember this continuous spell, Solek? So we'll see what he ends up doing. I can't activate any of these cards because I don't have a card myself. So he's going to activate Solek right now. I activate my own Solek just to have it up. I wanted to see if he was going to Baron Defleur pop it. Because if he did actually, if he negated this card and it got destroyed, I would be able to add a Tearlaments monster to my hand. So that's why he didn't activate it. But this is going to be a pretty big mistake on his part, I think. He goes into Kittilos. Kittilos is going to add the Shrine. Then he's going to pop my back row, which is completely fine. I could activate that card anyway, so it doesn't really matter. We're going to activate Madeira. So I'm going to shuffle back Snow, because the reason I shuffle back Snow, I take advantage of it, because his board is completely full. Also, I don't think he really can do anything to stop it right now. So our opponent doesn't know how to do calculations. If he summons this card in attack, I just lose the game. But he doesn't have lethal, because he played this in defense. Now you're probably saying to yourself, there's no way in hell you actually win here. His drag, like, so Mary's effect activates, and then we block Mary with Scream, right? So he's going to actually negate the Scream, and then I activate Solek to negate the Baron Defleur, and then he makes another misplay. These small misplays make us win the game. So he's going to activate Drag, but remember, Solek sends to Graveyard for cost. No, not for cost, for when it activates. So, because what's going to end up, this is going to go to the Graveyard, so this little charge he puts on, this effect will still go off. So, send the Graveyard. This is negated. I get both mills off. 3. And another 3. We activate Meryl. And then we activate Haviness. And then we activate Heartbeat, which allows us to grab our counter trap again. Now, I know you see Yugioh and Kelbeck. He doesn't... I don't want him to trigger any more of his mills. So I actually choose not to activate him. And I want him to be able to, like, do something else for him to... I want him to work for it, pretty much. So I had Crime. Remember, we still have triple tactics talent. And then we go into Kalido Heart. We're going to activate this card to shuffle back Baron. And then he's going to activate the trap to negate. This is the reason why I chose to shuffle back Baron, by the way. Because if I chose to shuffle back this, he still gets the effect off. So this is actually really not good for us because Kittilos is going to activate its effect, which allows him to shuffle again. So all these things happening, not very good for us, obviously. So he adds a Haviness in hand. And then he's going to activate Haviness's effect and go into... This card pretty much negates a special summon. So I chose to go into combat and kill both of his Tearlaments cards, right? Because Tearlaments are kind of weak during combat. So we kill both his Tearlaments cards, and then he can't activate his negate. So this is going to be huge. So we kill them both. I activate triple tactics talent. I take control of his monster. Unfortunately, this guy's been getting really lucky on the mills with the shufflers. Otherwise, this would be game. There's no way he comes back from this if I take his Dragon Stapelios. I would have Dragon Stapelios negate, and I would have Crime, and I would have a Solek negate. So he'd be in trouble. Let's just say that. But he's able to use his Midori to bounce his own card back, which is fine. And we sat. We're no way out of the woodwork yet. He's gonna activate Meryl. I activate Scream. Remember, Scream just keeps coming back. He didn't bother. He didn't think it was a threat. But guess what? Now I get Caldo in the graveyard. I'm gonna activate this card to add this back to my hand. I choose not to activate Kelbeck because he's activating his own Kelbeck. Don't want to give him more chances of coming back in this game. He mills more. He mills Snow again, which is kind of annoying. We're going to shuffle the negate back into the board, and then we're going to chain block it with Havanus. And then chain block again with Meryl. But then he chooses Sulik. And then I uses my own Sulik to negate his card here. And then he's going to activate Medora to shuffle my other cards back. I choose not to negate. I could have negated the Medora, but I choose not to because I'm saving it for Snow. So I choose this to shuffle back Snow. He's forced to activate. And now I can negate Snow. And this shuffles Snow back into the deck. Boom. Shuffled to the graveyard. Dodge the negate. This bounces that back. This is negated. And he's fucked. Now my Shirley's activates. This activates as again, which allows him to special summon to the field if this was sent by card effect. And it lets me send a Tearlament to the graveyard, which I send Havanus. We go into Verkelios. He goes into Elf, which honestly he should have gone into Dark because even when I pop it, he gets like a card back. But now we negate this, and it's pretty much GG at this point. Navigated through that. I'm telling you right now, while I was on stream with Spiffy, he told me multiple times, just concede. There's no way we're winning that. But this deck can perform miracles. Hello, this is game number 2, and we are going first. I'm just going to show you. I wanted to show this game to show you what a very good going first field looks like. Obviously, I don't know if he's playing Tearlament or not. We're going to end up finding out real soon, I guess, because Kiddos is probably going to send something good to the graveyard that might mill something from him. We also have Diviner in hand, so we 100% will eventually hit a Kalbeck or a Yugioh. This deck is a lot of fun, though, guys. If you, dude, if you're gonna craft the deck, just craft this deck. It's so much fun to play. The mirrors are actually kind of fun to play too. Like, there's so much to do. So now we're gonna Yugioh. He's gonna Kalbeck. This doesn't, like, honestly, him playing Kalbeck, a lot of decks play Ishizu, so it doesn't mean he's on the same deck. We're gonna mill. And he is on Ishizu. I mean, he is on this deck as well. I'm gonna use Kalbeck's effect and Reinhardt. I'm just going buck wild right now. He activates Kalbeck. He activates Sulik. He's gonna activate. He's activating a bunch of cards. Oh man, dude, this deck is so insane. Look at all the stuff happening right now. Like, I'm down to 13 cards. No biggie. He's gonna activate his card, so I'm gonna tell you right now. He actually got some of his shufflers, which is pretty good for him. But I'm going to be able to activate Keldo. He's going to activate Medora to stop my own, which is completely fine with me. I'm just like, okay, I'll just mill them again. My deck's already 15 cards, so whatever. I'm going to tell you right now, like, the mirror is very, like, shuffler dependent. Like, using your shufflers correctly is, like, huge. Just, like, really massive. Now, here, honestly, like, there's two options of playing here. The first option is going into Abyss Dweller. But I decided to not go Abyss Dweller and decided to just go Diviner. I think Abyss Dweller is probably the best bet, though. You're probably just better off going Abyss Dweller 9 out of 10 times here. I just wanted to have the negate, though. Like, I'm like so ahead, like, with the cards in my graveyard and stuff. I still have another Medora. It gets shuffled back in, but, like, he has nothing in his graveyard. Like guys, I want you to look. I have negate. I have negate, which we send this to the graveyard, which triggers our other fusion, which we can go into Kidolos and then probably combo into Rukelios again. We have another negate here. We have cross out designator. We're playing the same deck, so like big hits there. We have a negate here, and when we shuffle cards back in the deck, this card can shuffle your opponent's. When a Aqua Monster effect is sent to the graveyard by card effect, you can activate this card to target a one card your opponent controls and shuffle it back into the deck, and we have a negate. Like, we're in a huge position. Our opponent realizes it, doesn't want to play through it, which I think is a misplay. I think I don't know why he didn't want to just play through this. He rage quit, so yeah, we're going to go to the next one, but it shows you the power of this. But I do think you still go into Abyss Dweller, just saying. Hello, we're here with game number 3, and I know these games are a little long for me explaining, but I think educating people on how this deck plays for people who obviously are brand new to it, I think it helps a lot. We're going to get ashed on that, which is fine. It's annoying, but it's fine. This opening board, honestly, not the greatest, but we just mill 3. We end up hitting a Medora, which is not a bad draw. This is a horrible mill, by the way, but hitting this is good at least. We're just going to activate Tearlaments Crime. So the reason why I'm doing this is because the destroy effect on this is kind of pointless right now. And I'd rather just... I'd honestly rather just put that card back in his deck. And I get to mill this card from my hand. So, realistically... I'm going to explain something right now. You'll see what happens. I activate Medora. I swear to God, I thought my opponent would continue playing through this. Otherwise, I probably should have just sent Havinus to the graveyard. But our opponent kind of plays really weird. He just attacks. He doesn't play anything else. Otherwise, I wanted to activate Havinus of mill effect, but we just draw a cross out, which is kind of a brick. He activates this, which doesn't trigger Havinus' effect. Again, really annoying. I'm choosing not to play Havinus, which I could kill his card here, but I really want the mill effect to activate. So he does this on purpose. I don't know why he does this. It triggers my mill effect, and then he maxes me. I don't give it. I really don't care about maxi that much. Maxis, whatever, honestly. When you're able to do all these things with this deck, this deck actually plays into Maxi pretty well, in my opinion. Shireen, and then Havinus. So we're activating all these effects. Everything's happening. Everything's good. We go into Kidolos. Then Shireen's going to activate. We go into Rukelios. So we go into Rukelios here. The reason why is because if he goes... I was expecting him to try and do an access code play. And if you... Let's just say if he was trying to go into Transcode Talker, I can negate the special summon. Actually, this card makes it unaffected, right? Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure why. Maybe he thought he could kill me here? I don't know. Kind of a misplay on his end. But I'm going to go into Dark. Dark, by the way, huge monster. Insane card. Going to Sprite Elf. Sprite Elf is going to... Like this combo, this specific combo of going Dark, resurrect one of their cards, going to Sprite Elf, and then going into Diviner has won me so many games. Not even funny. It's vastly underrated in my opinion. And we're going to explain why we play Diviner at 3, because a lot of tournament lists, I don't even think some of them even play Diviner. So we're going to explain why we play Diviner at 3. It's very important. Actually, you know, I'll just explain it now. Diviner is at 3 for a reason. So in a lot of tournament decks that people played, when Tearlament was running rampant in TCG, all the Ishizu cards were at 3. We don't have that luxury. All our cards are already at 2. So this allows us to have a lot more consistent plays here. So we get Nibiru, and we're still going to be able to play through this because these cards all have effects when they're destroyed by, sent to the graveyard by card effects. So we get Nibiru, Diviner comes out, this card comes back onto the field, Keldo Heart. Sends it Mural to the graveyard, which lets us fusion summon. We go into Kittleless again. Like, this is why you only need one of these cards in your extra deck, because they all shuffle themselves back in. And Rhino Heart's going to activate, which is going to mill another card to the graveyard. Kittleless mills 5. I know, this is crazy. A lot of triggers happen. Going to Barone. Activate Barone. We pop this. Triple Tactics. We're going to just shuffle this back into his hand deck. You can't... This card's unaffected by cards, so anyone saying, oh, yeah, take the Final Sigma. It doesn't work, so... So we're going to do 4,500 to him. But our opponent is absolutely boned here. There's no shot. So pretty much what would happen if this guy wasn't going to concede, which he is. But we would, on our upkeep, since this doesn't have a negate anymore, we can grab our either this or this from the graveyard with Baron Special Summon. And then we also have Solic, which can send this to the graveyard to negate a monster on the field. So our opponent's actually just screwed. There's really not much you can do to play through this. And that's going to be game. GG. Hello, we're here at game number 4, and our hand is goated. Our hand's really, besides double Kelbic in hand, our hand's really good. But we're playing as Runic, and they're going first, which is kind of annoying. But having this allows us to start playing on our opponent's turn. He is going to activate Max C, which I think is a little bizarre. But maybe it's because he was expecting me not to just absolutely brick this mill. Double Diviner and Metonis, not the best. But he hit on the Banish. That's not that bad on the Banish. He's playing Sprite, so he's playing Runic Sprite. Remember, the best deck in the format. I would say this is the best deck of the format before Tearlaments came out. Now we're going to show him who's the new king. He's going to set up a very good Sprite board. You guys are going to see. I'm not lying. Goes into Sprite Elf. Sprite Elf is going to activate, bring back Jet. Then he goes into Jin Busters. So he's got 2 monster negates, a Smashers, and he's got Elf Resurrection. So we're going to activate this card immediately. He's going to go for the negate here. This is a bad negate on his part, but Tearlaments are kind of new, and if people haven't played TCG, they don't know what the hell's going on. So that's all I'm going to say about that. We're going to activate this mill. He activates red. And then he's going to activate Sprite Elf already. I think him activating Sprite Elf this early is a really bad choice, and you're going to see why. People don't think about these plays, though. They don't think about this stuff. They're not seeing that far ahead in the future. So Sprite Elf Smashers. He's going to get rid of my field spell, which is a good choice in his defense. It's a very good choice to do. It's a very powerful field spell. It's limited to 1 for a reason. So I'm going to go into Kitkalios. He's going to activate Freeze and Curse, which is going to negate my monster. So I actually can't do anything. Neato. And then he's going to shuffle that back, draw a card. I normal summon. We go into Dark. He has cards for me to grab, so I grab his Sprite. See, this is why I think he should have saved it, because then he could have actually countered my Dark, and I probably would just lose right here. I don't think I could come back at this point. But now I go into my own Sprite Elf, and then I Sprite Elf my Diviner. Play it in the Arrow Zone. Send Yugioh. We mill 5. Now we're popping off. And for anyone saying you have to get lucky on the mill, dude, almost my entire deck is like, they do a lot of stuff when they get milled. Like, it's almost always a hit. I played like almost 20 games, and almost everything was a hit. So I don't think that's luck. I think it's just that you built the deck. This is what all the cards do. So Kelbic's going to bounce Sprite Elf to hand. And now we're going to go into Verkelios. And then we're also going to fuse into Kitkalios. And we'll go into Baron de Fleur. And this is lethal. I'm going to actually negate this Runic Slumber, because if for some reason my opponent had a way of... if for some reason he had a pop, he can only pop Sprite Elf or Kikalios. He actually cannot target Baron de Fleur or Rukelios. And if he had another Runic card to special summon Gary, this card would actually negate it. So we negate. Pop. And he's dead. He has nothing else. GG. We went second against Sprite, and we still won. So this deck is great going first, great going second. Hello, everybody. We're here with game number 5, and this is going to be the final game. We're playing against Exosisters. This is a deck that's supposed to counter us. It's actually insanely... supposed to be very good into Tearlaments, Exosisters, because they banish a lot of cards in the graveyard. A lot of their spells and traps all do that type of stuff. But our hand, this is the reason why we play triple tactics talent. This card is absolutely insane, and it helps your going second, and it helps your going first hands, because like when someone hand traps you, triple tactics talent goes live. It's just an incredible card. I recommend crafting 3. It's a really, really solid card. And for those who are saying, oh, do you really need to craft Instant Fusion? Yeah. Instant Fusion, you'll see why. It's a 1-card combo. Literally your best opener. If you have Instant Fusion, it's your best opener. So we're gonna play Rhinoheart to see if we can force something out of him. He ends up activating Max C, which makes triple tactics go live. So I send that to the graveyard. I actually choose not to activate the effect of the card in the graveyard because I knew he was just going to banish it anyway. And I know he's going to be forced to banish it when I activate triple tactics to steal his monsters. And it forces him to use Returnia instantly, because otherwise he can't use it unless he has an Exosister in the field. Right? So we take his card. He's going to go into Michaelis. Actually, he goes into Caspatel. We take his card. And it's already game over. Like, the match is already over. We go into Catalyst. This card will search by itself, add Strain into the hand, send this to the graveyard. This gets special summoned, this activates, we mill 8. Yugioh activates. Like, this deck is nuts. This deck's nuts. Like, special summon, send Strain into the graveyard. Scream activates, lets us add a counter trap to our hand. This activates, lets us search any monster, which is our hand trap monster. Then Strain's gonna activate, which is allow us to fusion summon. We go into Rukelios, and then we're going to go into Sprite Elf. We milled Diviner, so now we're going to be able to go into Baron de Fleur. We activate Diviner. He goes into Ash. We have lethal on board. 2,000 damage, 3,000, that's 5,000, 6,400. It doesn't matter. We have lethal, game over. And even if we didn't have lethal, we have... Actually, we probably good we had lethal because he drew like 20 cards. But these games were nuts. We're going to go to the recap and talk about how the deck performed and what do I think about the deck. Hello and welcome to the recap. Thank you for watching this far. And if you are interested in this type of content, please consider subscribing. Actually, just do it. Just hit the subscribe button. Just like I smacked all my opponents around with Tearlaments. I really prefer you just did it. Just do it. All right. Other than that, our Discord is linked down below. We are 400 plus members strong, and we're hosting tournaments every week. There are fun tournaments, and hopefully in the future we could do for some prize pools. Other than that, let's go over the recap and see what happened. How the deck performed. The deck was absolutely absurd. It was so nuts, and it was so much fun. Let's talk about some of the cards in the deck. This might be a longer recap, longer video than normal. DD Crow, must have. Insane in the mirror. This card's just so broken in the mirror because it's pretty much like having one of these Medoras in your hand, and you just get rid of the card permanently. Herald of Orange Light, 100% you need. Play one of. I know it's only a one of, but this card plus having like one of your shufflers or even Kelbic or a Yugioh in hand is, you do the math, it's nuts. Diviner at 3, 100%. I explained in the video why Diviner's at 3, because these cards normally in the TCG, they were playing it at 3. We cannot do that because these are semi-limited already. Diviner fixes that. Diviner makes it consistent. Diviner also makes Baron Defleur very easily. Diviner by itself, without using an effect, also makes Herald of Arclight. Diviner can also make Chaos Ruler. So there's a lot of cards this card can do. So it kind of does everything. Now, you might be saying, why are you running King of the Swamp? King of the Swamp is in there for a reason. And I'm going to explain it. So if people are playing... I ran into someone who's playing this card. That's why I put it. We still won the match because they were playing Weather Painters. So we won the match because of that. This card, Ghost Reaper of Winter Cherries. This card allows them to pretty much go into our extra deck and banish our one Catalos, and doing that makes us we can never go into Rakelios. And I don't like that. So having the one King of the Swamp, this card allows you to pretty much use it as fusion material for this card. That's literally it. That's the only reason. Other than that, if you feel like you're never gonna run into that card, you could take it out. I just feel like with people running DD Crow and stuff, I feel like it's much easier to just snipe this one card, personally. So I would say it's probably worth at least running one copy. These cards are all standard. You want to max them out as much as possible. Run 2 of each and then 3 the Rhino Hearts. Kelda, all the shufflers, run as much as you can. But it was really insane. Foolish Burial, self-explanatory. Terraforming. This field spell is insane. We'll talk about the field spell. It just adds 1 tier limit card from your hand, right? All your fusion monsters and tier limit monsters gain 500 attack. And if a tier limit monster you control is shuffled into the deck or extra deck, except during the damage step, you can destroy 1 target on the field. You can only use this effect of once per turn. So, yeah, the card's insane. The card's like pretty broken. Let's talk about how broken that is. The card just does everything. 1 card combo. Triple Tactics Talent. This card's insane. Play this at 3. I don't think you'll regret it. This card has won me a lot of games just from stealing your opponent's monsters. Usually you use the second effect on this. I'm going to tell you, it just lets you OTK super easily. The first effect's still really good, draw 2 obviously, but instant fusion, craft this 100%, lets you craft Kekalios, and this card's a 1 card combo. It lets you special summon a tier limit from your hand or graveyard. It also lets you search out a tier limit, add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard, and when it goes to the graveyard, top 5 cards of your deck go to the graveyard. Card does everything you want in this deck and more, which is why they limited to 1. Card was just too good. Scream, you can play this at 1 or 2. I think at 2 it was perfect. When this card goes to the graveyard, has a very good effect because you can pretty much tutor a trap, add it to your hand, and if this card is just played as its normal card, this card is just very good. Yeah, the secondary effect lets you go over your opponent's monsters too, send top 3 cards, because this works on your turn and your opponent's turn, and it makes all your opponent's monsters lose 500 attack. So yeah, both of these are very good. Both effects are very good. Kind of annoyed that they made this an ultra rare, but you already know Komani was going to squeeze every little dollar out of us. So Crossout Designator, I know you guys are saying like in your head, well, you don't really play that many Designator targets, but I feel like you're going to play against the mirror so much that this card's almost like a necessity. Because think about, like, you're playing against the mirror, you're going to be able to stop people's shufflers, you're going to be able to stop people's, let's say, their DD Crows, you can stop their Call by the Graves, you can stop their Triple Tactics. Like, there's a lot of cards this card hits, and it gets way better when everyone's playing the same deck. I personally think so. I'm not 100% sure. I could be wrong on this, but I think it's very good. Then the traps, you just play 1 of each. There's cards that let you recycle the traps, and this card you're just using this for the graveyard effect. This first effect rarely comes up. It comes up maybe once out of every 20 games. I personally I don't think I casted this entire day. Extra deck, you just run 1 of each tier limit. You don't need more than that. Abyss Dweller, if you don't have this crafted, craft it. It's going to be the most important card that you ever craft. First of all, increases attack of water monsters, which is already good. But the secondary effect obviously is the most important. Lock your opponent out of playing their deck because almost everyone's going to be playing Tearlaments. And guess what? Even if they're not playing Tearlament, there's a lot of graveyard effects. You know, it's going to be good. Trust me. Minerva, this card is could be replaceable, I would say. This lets you just extend extra in case you're getting some bad mills out of your deck. But yeah, this card is kind of like a niche. You could probably replace this. Time Thief Redoer is really good, and I think number 41 is necessary. Time Thief Redoer, from my understanding, I didn't get to do this, but from what I was told, if you use Time Thief effect to detach, let's say you detach this card on your opponent's turn, this card will trigger and it'll activate its fusion effect. I'm not 100% sure. Someone could correct me in the comments. That'd be great. But that's what I was told. That's why it's in the deck. But it has to be the card you send to the graveyard. It can't be the card that gets sent from this card banishing itself. And then obviously Zeus. Zeus might be replaceable. Not sure. I feel like you should probably play it. But and then Sprite Elf and Dark. These cards you can't replace. They're too good. So that is the deck. Let's just talk about the power level of the deck. This deck is on a 10 plus power level. The most insane deck I've ever played in this game. And I've played pretty much most decks. This is by far the most broken deck I've ever played. And it is the most fun deck I've ever played. Oh my gosh, this deck is insane. Like a tier, this is a tier 0 deck. Tier 0 format. We're not even talking about like, there's probably going to be grass variants that come out too. That shit's probably going to be AIDS to play against. Like, this is so insane. This deck is so nuts. If you spend your gems on this deck, you will not regret it. It's a very skill-oriented deck too. Like, making minor misplays will make you lose the game. So, yeah, let's talk about win record. I lost one game out of the entire 4 hours of me playing this deck. We played 20 games. I lost one game. The game I lost, when I did my mill, I think I did like a Kelbeck or a Guido mill. Yeah, I did like one of these mills, right? I milled all 3 DD Crows, Call by the Grave, and like one of these. Like something that can't activate. And that's the reason why I lost. I milled all that, and my opponent was playing the same deck as me. And they milled like full combo. That's the reason why I lost the game. Other than that, we won like every game. So this deck has like a 90+% win ratio. The deck's crazy. It's crazy, and it's one of those decks too, kind of similar to like some of the you know, those older decks. Like people say, you know, do you know how people used to say like DDD is like a very skilled deck? Like you have to learn all these combos and stuff. This deck is it's a very skilled deck. Like the more you play it, the more you'll see the lines of play that can actually make you win the game. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and let me know what you guys want to see next. I think we're going to do some more like Tearlament decks too. But I also am planning on doing some Amazoness deck. I plan on doing some Vernisylph decks. There's a lot of Melfi. Melfi got a lot of new cards. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think this format is going to be a big change up. But unfortunately, if you guys like seeing a lot of different decks in this format, I feel like we're going to see a lot of the same deck, different iterations. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed, and goodbye.